All right, so good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Monday, December 14th, 2020, regular meeting of the Town of Easton Planning and Zoning Board. I should know this by heart by now, after 10 months of COVID. But in keeping with the ongoing emergency order from Governor Charlie Baker to limit gatherings and maximize social distancing, and under legislation passed to address remote board meetings during the emergency declaration, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards a quorum. The meeting will also be available on ECAT. To use Zoom, you will need to use the link on the agenda available on the town's website or download the Zoom application. You will need the webinar ID to join by phone only. While conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. However, use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. While the board members, and applicants will be on video and audio, public participants will join the webinar as attendee, meaning they are muted with no video feed from them. During the public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raised hand function on Zoom or making a request with the Q&A function. If you are joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. When starting testimony, please state your name and address for the record. The rest of the additional instructions are available on the agenda, as I said, posted on the Town of Easton website. So we will start off with a roll call to ensure we have a quorum. Strange here.
Shane here.
Anderson here.
Stetson here.
Balcarek here.
And do we have
Amos?
See him listed.
Amos, you're muted.
He's eating.
Chocolate there.
Well, we know he's here. So.
Amos, can you hear us?
There we go. He waved. Okay, I'm going to accept that. There we go. Thank you. I hope it was worth it. So, okay, for anybody at home, just so you know, 58 Mill Street, 560 Foundry Street, and 300 Foundry Street will all be continued. They won't be heard tonight. We've received continuance requests. So if board members could help me, first up, we need to continue to December 28th, 58 Mill Street, Owl Ridge Estates.
Motion to continue 58 Mill Street and Owl Ridge Estates to December 28th.
Second.
All those in favor, Strange eye.
Shane, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Balcarek, aye.
That's 5-0. Next up, we have the same for 560 Foundry Street, Sawmill Village, definitive subdivision and special permit.
Motion to continue 560 Foundry Street subdivision and special permit to 28th.
Greg, can I just ask Suzanne, did they give a date to which they wanted to continue?
All three are continuing on top of the agenda till the 28th.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, Strange eye.
Shane, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Balcarek, aye.
And last but not least, 300 Foundry Street, special permit for duplex and for an A&R.
Motion to continue 300 Foundry Street till the 28th. Special permit and A&R.
Second.
I believe Amos won that one.
Yeah.
All those in favor, Strange eye.
Shane, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Balcarek,
Oh,
aye.
right. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, Deb. Okay. All right. Continued pre-application review for 20 South Street, special permit for a flexible development. So I know, hang on, I need to get my folder on this on the kitchen table. All right. Sorry about that. For some reason, I thought it was later on. So, Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's just making a strange noise. So actually, technically this is continued, but we didn't at the last meeting, given that we only had 3 members, we had asked the applicant, Bill Humphreys, to continue, and he graciously agreed. So I think the first thing I want to do before we turn the floor over to Bill, I want to give a quick, this is the first flexible development for a lot of our board. And we miss a lot of just kind of, we don't get to talk much with COVID. As you know, this will be our, if approved by this board, this will be our 3rd flexible development. The first approved was Goodspeed Estates, then was Weber Estates, and now this one. And as we know by reading or by reviewing the bylaw, we've always found this to be we wrote this bylaw as a board along with when we were doing the recodification with a few other employees of the town and some other board members in the town, and Mark Bobrowski, who was sort of the godfather of zoning in Massachusetts. And the reason we did that was we had for years, we've been trying to come up with ways to create alternative housing types, maybe smaller lots, save some open space. And we found that the land that is left, most of the land, a lot of the land that's left hasn't been developed yet. Maybe it has issues. Maybe there are environmental issues. Maybe it was zoning issues. Maybe there were historical. Maybe it was access. And we had tried with some previous bylaws, the OSRD, and to bring in an affordability component. And those weren't working because frankly, it was just too strict. It was financially not feasible for a developer or a homeowner. So long story short, we came up with this program, which really is a sort of a joint venture or a, it's a project, it's a joint venture between the planning board and the planning staff and the applicant. We're able to look at each piece of land, look at its outstanding features, and try to come up with the best way to develop it to reach the goals of the town, the goals addressed through the master plan and other land use plans and open space and recreation plans and historical plans. And instead of an engineer just looking at it and saying, okay, I need, X houses per X square feet, it really lets us, mold and try to create neighborhoods. And I can't think of a piece that fits this better than this piece on South Street. I've expressed this in detail going back a year and a half ago when I was doing neighborhood meetings related to the Furnace Village zoning with the South Street neighbors and the group, forgive me, Dale, I can't think of the group that was formed working with Stephanie and Connor on the diff. But long story short, when we walk this land, which we'll be doing as a board sometime in the very near future, it's unusual. It has virtually no wetlands on it. It has one tiny little pocket that came up. It has a wonderful antique historical home on it, the old Belcher home, the Belcher estate, which is the namesake, the company that owned, the family that owned the foundry, which is the Rick Lincoln project. Has some great mature trees and has a real nice opportunity to extend and preserve what is a fantastic neighborhood in that South Street. And there's a little gem, that little corner of Easton. But if this was just a conventional subdivision, we wouldn't have a lot of say in this. And so about a year ago, right about the time Stephanie was leaving for a sabbatical, I guess, Bill had contacted the planning department and myself about this piece of land. And I know Bill had been interested in this piece for years. And those of us on the board, we take an interest in planning, and we talk to owners and developers and residents all the time about, you know, what we'd like to see done, why things are done the way they are, how we can improve things. And Bill was very interested. Stephanie and I had worked with him a couple of years ago trying to put some alternative housing out there. And when I say alternative, I mean, you know, so often the options are a giant house, or, you know, a big new house that's $1 million plus, or an old house that needs an awful lot of work, or rent, you know. And what about empty nesters? What about young families? You know, some smaller homes. The market has changed out there, and where can we hit a price point that is still that is small a affordable, but is still a benefit to the town in many ways, and benefit to the land area, to land value. So anyways, so as the chair of this committee, and Stephanie as the director of planning, we have had a number of discussions and meetings with Bill, going back spring, summer, I guess, you know, going back 6 or 7 months, on a sort of a direction of this. And just, he came to us with some ideas, and we'd point him in a little direction just based on past experiences of this board and of the intent of the bylaw. This would be Bill's first flexible development, so we tried to lay out a path to him. And so the highlights of this are Bill has agreed to preserve, restore the Belcher House, which was I had dozens of people in town, many members of the Historical Society, Historical Commission, this neighborhood. A lot of people reached out to me wanting to have that done. He'll be providing 2 affordable units, and we'll be adding, I forget, I can't read this up, adding 5 or 6 acres of open space. And other things we've talked about, he's agreed to give architectural approval to this board. And when Stephanie and I walked the site with Bill at one point, we noticed these beautiful trees are out there. So in the general location of the road, once, assuming the board's okay with this preliminary layout, as Bill gets further into the engineering, he's going to locate substantial trees in the vicinity of the roadway so that we can look at saving, you know, maybe we tweak the lot layout a little bit, maybe we tweak the road so that we can save some clumps of these trees so that we can really make this a special neighborhood, you know. And as opposed to, you know, if this was conventional, and I've had a few people say, well, why not just let them to do it conventional? We wouldn't be getting all these benefits, and we wouldn't be able to have a say in things, and you know, much other than, you know, reviewing the drainage. And you know, so this I think is a great opportunity to come in and provide smaller housing, and by that still substantial homes, and I'll let Bill speak more to that, but tie the scale into the old, you know, the neighborhood, the existing neighborhood, and preserve that, you know, nice walkable neighborhood, which again, this was approved, this piece of land was approved at the town meeting to become part of the sewer district. So it's nice, it ties into the sewer, helps with the economic development, helps pay down the diff, you know, all those things we've heard so much about. So anyways, I've babbled on long enough. Stephanie, do you have anything you want to add on top of that, or?
Not at this point. I think if we let Bill just
Sure.
kind of talk and, you know, I walk through how he came up with the number of units. I do have, I can share my screen, and as Bill starts to talk, if Bill, you want to unmute yourself, we can show what the conventional plan looked like that Bill put together based on the underlying zoning and a standard conventional subdivision layout. And then we can go to the proposed.
Stephanie, am I unmuted now?
You are.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, I just want to cut you off just for a second. I just want to say this for the public. So tonight, the process here, and for the board, tonight's meeting, just as it's described in the agenda, is it's a pre-application review. This is, as I explained, Stephanie and I have been involved in this for a while. with Bill and with his engineers. Now it's coming before the board for the first time to introduce the board to the project so they can start to get a feel for it, ask some questions. After this, tonight, later on, we will pick a time for a site walk so we can all go out there. And then at that point, assuming, if the board is on board with sort of the direction of this, then Bill would go and with his engineer and start to get deep into the engineering. Right now, he just has some preliminary plans, go towards a full set of plans. And at which point, then he would come in, he would apply, well, he's already applied, but it would kick into the full application where the abutters are legally notified and the public hearing process. So I know there's a number of abutters there tonight. Tonight, I'm really looking for the board just to kind of come up to speed with this. And I'm not saying I'm not going to take questions. This is a public hearing, or a public meeting, but I don't want to get too, I don't want to get too in the weeds on the subdivision where we don't have a full filing. So anyways, and I've expressed that to some of the neighborhood members, but so at some point, if we just get too into it, I may just pull back on the, once I feel we've reached what we wanted to conquer tonight. So anyway, so Bill, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, good evening, board. Hello, everyone. Bill Humphrey, 23 Mullen Lane, Northeastern. And yes, I've been talking with the planning board regarding this. I've been involved with this property for about 6 years now, and I'm actually related to the owners. My nephew is married to one of the owners' mothers. So my nephew is married to the daughter of the owner. So I've known about this property for a while because they approached me back then. And at the time, there's quite a few people that are involved with it. So I've been talking to them behind closed doors. And finally, about a year and a half ago, we talked about putting something together. And being a developer builder in the town of Easton for 40 years, and this is where I live, where I've grown up. I've been on the conservation board. Wife's involved with the school committee, etc. So being a townie, so to speak, I want to always do the right thing in town. I've always tried to work with I've always worked with the planning board, trying to create something that the town needs. So unfortunately, with what the market calls for, so you buy land in the town of Easton now, unfortunately, it's very expensive. So if you pay for land, say if you just go out and buy a buildable lot in a subdivision, which there aren't any left, but if you do, they're going to be 300,000, 350,000, sometimes more. I'm building a house right now, and to get off the line, but building houses right now on Center Street. I have one I finished, one that's under construction right now, and 1 acre lots in Easton. With the price of the lots, the homes are selling for $1 million plus. So I would like to see, fortunately, my oldest son, I built a home for on North Main Street, and I got that house that I bought a tear down. And because I got it, fortunately, for the right price, I was able to keep my son in the town of Easton. So the problem we have with the town of Easton is the price of land. So people that we want to see our loved ones move back to the town, they can't afford it unless it's a 40B, like we did Union Commons, Winterberry Estates. This property here is significantly different. So if I went in there and put in $15 million homes, especially with sewer, it'd be very appealing. And I would find a buyer for every lot here. I don't want to go that route. The town doesn't need more $1 million homes. The town right now needs something more affordable where we can have people that are downsizing, people that are retiring, downsizing, kids that are have good jobs that want to live in the town of Easton. I want to create something with the town, something that's affordable. Now, by doing what I've been talking with the planning board, trying to create, with doing the subdivision here, it brings my lot costs down, and the lots are now with the sewer and doing flexible. The lots are smaller, and I can build more, I'm going to say, an affordable home. So 3-bedroom, which is unheard of, new construction. That's unheard of in a subdivision. You can't do 3 bedrooms because if you're paying $350,000 for a lot, it's not going to work. So with this here, talking with the planning board, Greg's been helping me with this. My engineer, Frank Rivlin, who's listening right now, he's in this meeting also, working with us here with the sewer, which makes it fantastic. We can save a lot of trees, doing it flexible with the road. We don't have to disturb as much. So what I'd like to promote is with the town, talking with Greg Strange, is that you'll see it around the town of Easton. A lot of the homes that I've been building have been, like, for instance, the one on North Main Street, 12 North Main Street, the one that I just did, Old Stable Lane, the entrance to that. What I'm trying to do is create homes that have what they were building back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that the Ames were doing, sort of balloon framing, 1.5 story, high-pitched, 12-pitch roofs. And I've done a lot of those in the town of Easton in the last 5 years. They're all around town. I do them a lot on where I buy properties that are smaller lots that I can do 3-bedroom homes, 1,800 square feet, 2,000 square feet, stuff like that. This is a perfect subdivision, a perfect parcel for this, where I can work with the town to create that look. So here we are in a historical area. And also I've contacted the Historical Commission because I'm looking for names for this. I don't know if Belcher Estate sounds that good, but Historical Commission is going to help me with this, with names of the street, names of the subdivision. But the area, though, of the homes, if you look around there, they're all the 12-pitch roofs, 1.5 story, farmers' porches, etc. That's what I want to create. And I've done a lot of this in Easton over the few years that I've been doing the smaller lots. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to do something that is, I don't want to do, even though this property is crying to do $1 million homes, I, being an Eastonite, feel that the town doesn't need that. We don't need $1 million plus homes right now. We need something that's affordable to keep our residents here, bring some of them back, kids that have graduated from the town. So I'm thankful we got this flexible zoning. I see a subdivision that's perfect for it. It's crying for this. You see, if you look at this land, when we walk it, the topography from the back of the lot, where the end of it, the cul-de-sac will be, to the front of it, dealing with Rivlin Engineering, the land has about a 7-foot pitch to it. And then there's an area that's just perfect for the detaining of the stormwater. It's almost as if the land was created for this that we're creating, and then the sewer comes in. It's a really good opportunity for the town of Easton, and I'm there to work with you guys. Always have been. And that's about it for my pitch, guys. This is the start of this. I'm very excited about it.
So Greg, at this point, why don't I share my screen and we can take a look at what a conventional subdivision could look like.
Sure.
And then move to the proposed. Okay, can everybody see that now?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see this is South Street here, coming off of Pequonnet Avenue, and then down from that Pequonnet to it comes in and it's a bend. And what you can see is that under a conventional lot subdivision, Bill could get 14 lots by right. These all, you can see they're all over 40,000 square foot lots. And there's no remaining permanently protected open space. And it has a fairly traditional roadway associated.
And I just want to jump in working with Bill on this. If you looked at this plan, and Stephanie accurately pointed out in her report, a couple of these lots they were short just by like a foot or half a foot for frontage, and then some wetlands came up. But if you really analyze this, and I mentioned this to Bill a few months ago, I said, you could actually get 15 lots here. If you look at those lots 8 and 9, or the 2 lots at the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
But Bill said, look, what he said to me a bunch of times. He said, Bill, he said, Greg, I'm not trying to tap this out, and so just going forward as we look at the calculations, and I think that's just notable to point out that, I think it's, and then Frank's online and he would probably agree with me. I think you could get actually 15 here conventionally, but I say that just to file that in the background when we start to analyze it.
Well, Greg, we knew that. We just figured we just show this here. We could have done another.
No,
one.
exactly.
I
That's
didn't
what
want to
I'm saying.
keep spending money on engineering. I'd rather go forward. I could have just paid Frank to do another plan, but it's enough with the plans.
I
Right.
agree.
Well, and I
I
think
agree.
that's Greg's point, that if so, to put it another way, if Mr. Humphrey were looking to develop this as a conventional subdivision, he would be looking to get as many lots as possible out of this. And again, as Greg pointed out, probably could get up to 15. So Greg, you know, because Bill had mentioned this to you, the plan I'm showing you right now is the plan that was submitted with the pre-application. What I understand is, Bill, that you discovered that the wetlands down in this area here would require that these lots go for a permit with the Conservation Commission.
That's
And
right. Yep.
since you've submitted this plan, you actually had Frank revise it a little bit so that you're not developing in this area and you won't be working within the buffer zone, which is another positive.
I don't want to do that, Stephanie. Being on the board, why work in the buffer zone when you don't have to?
Right.
So just to jump in, Stephanie, if you want to, the plan, I actually printed it up. It's on, Bill did upload it. Oh, you've got, okay, good.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So again, working in one of the objectives and goals of the flexible development is really to work with the topography. And Greg really laid it out in his introduction. Bill reinforced that this land really lends itself to this type of development. There should not be a lot of cut and fill needed to place a roadway in here to accommodate the stormwater. And by recognizing that you'd be working in a buffer zone here and close to a wetland resource area, by shifting the lots up here, it further demonstrates the ability and focus of this type of development to work with the land that you have, instead of trying to make the land fit to the subdivision.
And just while we're here, I noticed earlier, just before I forget, Dale Carrister, a South Street resident, he's asked me this a number of times, and he had chimed in with a question, just wanting to speak to public access of the open space. Now, this being a flexible development, it's a private road, and we have a few tools by which we being the planning board can handle this open space. And Stephanie, I'll defer to you. I'm assuming we would probably want conservation to handle it, right?
Yes.
And access would be allowed to that, correct?
Right. Yes, I think the Conservation Commission would like to see the land conveyed under their care and management, and they generally like to see public access.
Yeah, I know. I had one question from a couple of the neighbors, like, is this going to be a gated community? And I said, no, it's not. We won't. It's not how it works. We don't allow that. It's the main reason it's a private road is to save the town money on services.
Right, and that's another, again, that's another mitigation of the flexible development for allowing the density. The road is developed as a private way, so the town doesn't have to maintain it.
Right. So Dale, I answered your question for you. So sorry. Do you want to keep going, Stephanie? You want me to open it up to the board, see if they have any questions? What do you want to do?
Well, you touched a little bit, I had looked at the conventional plan, and there were just, it wasn't so much an issue for me that you couldn't get the 14 lots, because I could see where you could reconfigure them a little bit to make sure that you had the full 40,000 contiguous upland area for each of those. I did walk through, Bill did provide us with the calculation showing how he came up with the bonus units, the bonus lots. And I think my only question there was in the rounding. And
Well, I know the bylaw calls out when doing the affordable unit. It states, and I'll try to pull it up here. It calls out that we round up at 0.4. So if, for example, in this, so using Bill's 14 lot convention, so we need 10% of that to be affordable. So that's 1.4.
yes.
So of these 20 units, so 2 of them are going to be affordable and count against our SHI. Which means, counts towards our 40B number, which helps. But they will still be like kind. There'll be no discernible difference with these houses with the rest of the neighborhood, and it's, it's intended for all the reasons we've spoken before. And so the assumption when we did the recodification, and on our past flexible developments, we've always gone with the assumption that, okay, if on the affordable we round up at 0.4, then we would do that on any other, which I don't know if it doesn't really matter as much, because when we look at things like the density bonus or the lot transfer bonus, those both say, okay, we can add up to 2 units, but it can't be more than, there's caps on the overall basic number of units. And that, and that really seems to be up to the board's discretion. If there was a rounding issue, I think our assumption has always been we would follow the rule laid out for the affordable and go with 0.4. It would seem to make it consistent.
That makes sense. And it was just that the bylaw didn't really articulate that, but I think that makes a lot of sense and it's consistent.
Yeah, it seems fair, right? It seems,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I thought we had talked about, rounding like everyone else does at 1.5, but if you have it in the bylaw somewhere, that's.
No, the bylaw says that,
but-
so Peter, if you go to, if you're on the bylaw, it's under I, under the affordable component. It's in the first paragraph of I, and it says, any calculation resulting in a fractional unit of more than 0.4 shall be rounded up. Which and let's say that was based, I remember when we did that.
Okay,
Mr.
but I mean, yeah,
Bobrowski told me, he goes, that's so we can increase the number of affordable units.
Right, right. And I don't think there's a disadvantage to incenting that with, rounding up on the bonus.
No, I mean, it just should be how it reads. It shouldn't really be something that's subject to, interpretation, hopefully. If it is, maybe we can clean that up next time. But okay, that's okay with me for now. I'm just,
What do you want to do? I'm sorry, you cut out, Peter. What did you say to do next time?
Oh. I
Articulate.
don't understand by what you're saying is if it's subject to interpretation or if it's clear that it's rounding up at 0.4.
Oh, no, I mean, I think it's called out in the bylaw.
Well, but yeah, then there's no reason to really, we don't have to, rehash the pros and cons of that now, since it's
right,
as you say.
Okay,
Stephanie,
I didn't know I was doing that. So
The historical component of this. There's nothing really in there because I'm basically.
I know, I didn't mention that in my report, and that was an omission on my part.
So.
Do you want to talk to that, Bill?
Yeah, I do. So taking the Belcher home, I've talked with the historical, with Wayne about this and with Greg, because he's on that board also. And I told them what I'd like to do, because what's nice about this, when you drive in, that's like a main focal point when you come into the subdivision. Really, it's really nice. It's a beautiful home. Needs a lot of work, but I've agreed to restore that. And in the past, when what the Historic Commission has done, they've talked to me about to save something is making it a 2-family. Obviously, you need a special permit for that, but that component there, I'm going to restore this beautiful home, and I think that's got to be talked about as an advantage to the town by saving this home. It has a lot of value for history in the town.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I brought it. I mean, I brought that up. I think that's a, if you, maybe wasn't clear. I mean, I think that's, let's say without flexible development, that's probably not happening.
Right.
I think it's, huge. So I just want to, there's 3 questions, actually 2 ones. So Maria Wilson has asked, do you know which 2 houses will be affordable? And we do not. That is up to, Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty much we let the developer decide that, but they need
The developer can decide. The affordable houses cannot be easily discernible from the exterior from the other homes. So
Stephanie, why don't you, because you're more give a quick synopsis of what's meant by affordable in this part.
And affordable is affordable at it's 100 or 80% of mean annual income, which is actually quite high in Easton because of the demographics of the town in the area.
Right. So exactly. So it is it aims for folks at 80% of the mean income of the town, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
and these are the folks that these generally are some of the people that Bill's talking about when he talks about the fact that Easton's housing stock, and especially new housing stock, is not affordable, especially to young people who want to come back and live in the town. It's a very pricey market for housing. And
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. And I was going to say, because this is ownership, and just like any other, even if where affordable units are rental, people they're income qualified. They also, they have to be able to pay, meet the mortgage obligation.
So, and then just there was one question from PG. It says the abutting land marked Greenwood condominiums. Is that actually Gaslight Village?
No, I don't think so. I think that's one of the other. Where is that located? That's down over here.
Yeah, that's that piece right there.
I think it is, Stephanie.
Is it?
I think it's just the legal name.
Yeah,
okay.
It is. Because that wetlands that's created back there is actually, Frank Riveland went and checked on when we were doing the wetlands there. That's actually, there's a drainage easement on Gaslight's property. So that wetland was created by the drainage that they put in there.
Yeah. There's another condominium complex off of Foundry Street as you turn onto Bay Road heading south, and it has a similar type name. So
and I just want to the last thing I want to say, I just want to summarize this because it hasn't been touched on. So if we look at Bill had uploaded this, I don't know if the board members saw it, but he did a thing titled the South Street Flexible Development Analysis, and he based this on the 14 lots. So he started, and he just tied this analysis into our bylaw and not the process that's called out. So he starts with 14 units, although he notes he could have had 15. Then you add the affordable component, 10%, so 1.4, so we round up. So that's 2 units. So that's 2 units added to the 14, so that's 16 units. Then there's a density bonus. As a minimum, you have to do a 20%, flexible development has to have at least 20% open space. And it calls out if you go 15% above that, so 35% of your project or more is above that, the board can award up to 2 more units. So he's pointed out that they have 43% open space, and he's proposing 2 more units for that. And then a transfer lot bonus. When we wrote the flexible development, there was discussion. Mark Barbowski had talked about how other communities had found this to be very successful. And what happens is if you have a piece of land somewhere, it's not a piece of land that's 100% wet, but a piece of land that has some upland, but would be rather onerous to the environment to develop. That in return for taking that donating that piece or taking it off, making it not developable there's a number of ways you can do it, that the board can, in return, give up to 2 units. So he references there's land here that he donated on 9 Bradford Street, which is tied to an A&R plan. I believe it was an A&R, or maybe it was an estate lot that we looked at last year. This was land, as I understand it, that he was not required to donate. But when the first call Mr. Humphreys ever gave me about this subdivision, it was right when EMI had taken over, and he mentioned this, and he said, hey, he's going to be donating this land. He was working with Andrea, and he wanted to propose that this would be part of the transfer lot bonus. So I told him, I said, we should have correspondence with EMI about that. And so anyway, so that's how Bill got to 20. And one way I would just sum it up, I guess, in terms of being pro for this type of project, is somebody mentioned to me that, that he'd be okay, he or she would be okay if this was maybe 16 or 17 lots. And I said, well, you need to remember, I said, by right, okay, conventional subdivision, he could get 15 lots here where we would have no say in it. Then, but he's coming in with 14. Then on top of that, he's doing 2 units affordable, which not going to make any money on, probably lose money on that. He's up to 16. Then he's also restoring a house. And Bill, all due respect to Bill, Bill builds a great house, but he I don't think historical preservation is necessarily his favorite thing to do, but he's agreed to do that here because he's, it's expensive. Bring that house up to code and to create those details. So, in essence, so I guess in return for all that, he's proposing these 20 lots, and that's what we as a board have to consider. So anyways, why don't we, all right, one more. So Maria Wilson says, currently we have safety issues backing out of our driveway at 16 South Street. With the development going on, this is going to become a 3-way intersection. What can be done to mitigate this? Okay, so I'll answer this, or we'll address this, but I don't really want to get into the specifics, the nuts and bolts of the subdivision, as I said at this meeting. But I know Mrs. Wilson's husband, Rob, I spoke with, and at one point he was talking about, surprisingly, a lot of people come down from Quanticut, take a left onto South Street, and then go into the entrance of 20 South Street, thinking it's a road, and then they end up backing out. So I said, well, okay, that's an issue. And, I'm a believer that the folks that live there obviously have the best knowledge of what's going on. So I said, well, when the time comes, maybe we could talk to the town or talk to Mr. Humphreys, and we could put a sign there that, said not a throughway or something. So, but again, I just wanted to address that because it was asked, but I don't want to get into the weeds with that stuff tonight. I want to wait till we have our formal application, full application. With that, board members, you've heard us babble on long enough. You have any comments, questions?
I have a question. Is 20 lots include the refurbishing of the Melcher house?
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 20 lots, and that will be a duplex, or 2 families, or?
Well, right now it's counted as 1 lot. It was a single family. There have been some discussions back and forth, but there's no application for a duplex right now before us. So what we're considering right now is 20 lots, all single family.
So just to clarify then, Greg, that would be a single family home, just like the other lot?
Yeah, as currently as the application is before us, right, yep.
Greg, since this is the first time I've worked on a flexible development, is there any minimum lot size? I see there around 12,000.
No, there isn't. And the reason we did this, if you think of the other 2 flexible developments we had in town, this, like I said before, this really lets us look at each piece and look and say, okay, what can we do here? In fact, Bill's first, this is good that Stephanie has this up. Bill's first flexible plan that he showed Stephanie and I was pretty much like this, right? The road, but instead of a big swath of open space at the end, there was a a buffer of whatever, 20 feet, 25 feet, whatever, around the perimeter of the entire subdivision. And the problem with that was very similar to what we had with our OSRD, our open space residential developments, our first cluster zoning we had in Easton about 25 years ago. And the problem with that is that it didn't function as open space. It really extended everybody's backyards because no one would see back there, and it ended up getting sort of developed like the people owned it. And, you know, when you speak to folks who study open space for both human use and environmental use, it's better to keep it in larger swaths. And when you look at this, this is an older neighborhood, and there's a mix here. As we know, we've looked at these lots a lot. There's a range of lot sizes in this neighborhood from 1.5 acres to 10,000 square feet. So working with Bill and his engineer, this layout really reflects a good, Bill talked about balloon frame houses. It's all about scale, having the houses that are smaller, not small footprints and super high, sort of medium footprints. And he talked about balloon framing. If you ever notice, you walk around the old downtowns and you see the roofs all start at about 3 or 4 feet off the floor on the second floor. Sort of what he's talking about. It's more human scale. So that's where these lot sizes came into being, and looking, okay, how can we create a nice neighborhood that is keeping in the scale of the surrounding areas and comfortable, and it gives people what they want, a usable yard where the kids or the folks can, but at the same time protect the natural resources that we'd like to protect. We being the planning board, we have a lot of leeway in lot sizes and setbacks and flexible. That's the beauty of it.
So where would the stormwater go on the flexible plan?
Can I comment on that, Greg?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
All right. It's, I'd like to open it up larger. Well, where you come in off of South Street, when you drive in, yeah, that's better, Greg. Down behind lot number 3. So behind lot number 3, you'll see that large area in the back of it. Right in there, yes.
Right in here?
Yeah, right in there. So what happens is when Frank Rival went out and topoed the land, the land goes from the cul-de-sac towards that area. There's no dips or anything else. It just has a very slow, nice, soft.
You can see that, yeah.
Change in the elevation, and it leads right down to there. It's as if if God created this for the drainage to be there. So there's no upland, no higher elevation area near the cul-de-sac where the drainage would be. It would all run down to the lower elevation there, to that part.
So this is where you, and again, that is one of the intentions of doing this type of development, is again to look at where is your natural flow of stormwater, and how can you.
So where would the stormwater go on the conventional? In the same area because of the slope of land?
Yeah, you'd go the same area, yes.
Yeah, just have an easement, like an actual. So that'll just be. So what will the association own that land? That
Yes.
won't be. So that part won't be deeded to the town, or whatever.
That area, well, that would be Greg. That would be.
It depends on the final layout, really.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's going to be low impact development. It hasn't been designed yet, so.
It is a good question, Peter. And as Bill was describing where the stormwater would go, I was thinking about that would need to be carved off, and probably.
I don't want to get too much detail, but sometimes small details link into large components, and then we end up with hills.
So that I'm thinking the same thing you were thinking, but again, we can work that out. So Bill, that in Frank, that's just something.
The property is about 7 or 8 feet higher than that low point over there, anyways. So that would keep your drainage above the water table.
We haven't done any deep holes or anything yet. That's our next mission. Is if the board is in favor of this, then we would go out there and do the soil. We'd go out there and do soil and find the water table throughout the subdivision. That would be our next step. But with
Okay,
what we see right now, this is where it, looking at the plan, that's where it should go, is there. Because of the 7-foot slope from back of the road to that area that we would like to put the drainage. But we still need to do, we haven't done any deep wells.
And I just want to answer, we have a question from Rachel Moore. What are the implications of this being a private way besides town services such as plowing? Would residents have any input on the road having sidewalks, for example? Well, I mean, the residents have input, I guess, by participating in public meetings, but they have resident representation, in this case, by the planning board. The road will have sidewalks. Stephanie, can you, I mean, any the maintenance of the road is the responsibility of the homeowner association. So.
Correct. I think one of the things that the neighbors may be interested in is the fact that a road is maybe a private way does not mean that the public is not allowed to traverse over or access the road and the sidewalks. It really just means that the town is not responsible for the care and maintenance of the road. And Greg, I see 2 raised hands.
Yeah, but they've asked questions in the past.
Are they all set? Oh, so we should.
Yeah, I mean, I've been answering all the questions as they come up.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
I have a question too. I'd like to throw.
Well, you have
in
to
there.
raise your hand, Rob. No, virtually.
Oh, sorry. This is kind of for Bill, but also for Greg and Stephanie. I mean, one of the questions that I'm sure will come up and that I've got on my mind already when I see, kind of the lot sizes here and, knowing a little bit about this neighborhood is, how is this plan going to impact, if at all, the value of the homes kind of surrounding and in that neighborhood? I could just imagine that the sort of devil's advocate type argument here, and maybe we'll hear this from Dal and his group or not, is going to be that, instead of going with the, $1 million homes that Bill described at the beginning of his presentation, kind of stuffing a bunch of homes in here on much smaller lots, that's going to detract from the value of the surrounding area and the character of that area in general. So I throw that open to anyone. I'm just curious as to everyone's thoughts.
Greg, can I jump in on that?
You go first, sure.
Because I think you'll echo this. I mean, that was one of the other benefits of this being a special permit, is that there will be an architectural review so that the houses and the architecture and the design need to complement and be contextual with the neighborhood. As far as lowering, impacting property values, there's really a lot of evidence, and I can certainly, find the studies if people need that demonstrate that if you're building something and it's quality and it fits in with the neighborhood, that it really does not detract from the surrounding property values.
Yeah, and we haven't really heard what the actual price is going to be. It's not going to be as low as we might.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I'd like to jump in here because I was asked this question actually by about 5 residents, and which all said, oh, we'd rather see conventional because we'd rather see $1 million homes. But this is what I do for a living. I design and sometimes build homes. So I think I can speak, and I've worked in 122 cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts. And in an example like this, and this is a beautiful neighborhood, has great character. But when you look at the property values, look at the assessed values, a lot of these homes are older and they will benefit with a subdivision going in, whether the homes going in are 1.4 million or, now we don't have the right to ask Mr. Humphreys what he's going to sell these for, but anybody could take a look at what new houses sell for in Easton. They're going to be north or south of about $300 a foot. So, just so in that range, you're still substantially under, $1.4 million, but you're also substantially over a lot of the existing property values here. I'm a firm believer that this project as a flexible development will actually increase the development, the property value of the neighborhood more than if it was $1 million. And here's why. If you put in a bunch of big houses, okay, yeah, we live at the entrance of that subdivision and there's all these big houses, and well, that's fine, okay. But if Bill were to build the conventional subdivision here, there's not going to be a tree that survives, and nothing's going to fit into the neighborhood. It's just going to get, because by the time the houses go in, everything, a lot of stuff, the road goes in, you deal with the water table, trees get cleared out. Versus going in with a smaller footprint road and a smaller footprint house, and with the planning board having the power to say, okay, hey, we'd like to save this clump of trees here, this clump, which we don't have in a conventional subdivision. I think we would be adding to the character of that neighborhood, because now you walk through this beautiful old historical neighborhood of South Street, and you're going up the sidewalk of this new street. But look there's these houses that are they're not blocking the sun to the subdivision, or they're not 3 times as high. They're kind of fitting in, and they have some similar details. And then, wow, there's a nice swath of open space over there that, or people just call it woods. They wouldn't call it open space, So, I don't subscribe to the fact that whether a house goes up for 5 to 6 to 700,000 versus $1.4 million, I think both of them affect positively the property value. And I think if the subdivision is done with more amenities, natural amenities, I think it can be a boon to the neighborhood.
Can I comment on that, Greg?
Sure.
All right. I don't see anything, if you build any type of a subdivision with character, new construction, obviously, that it's going to hurt any type of subdivision. I've worked off of subdivisions I've done where the houses sell for $1.5 million and up, and then I've done subdivisions right off of those, and you just create something of where I've done 3-bedroom and smaller 4-bedrooms houses that were only 1,800 to 2,400 right off of subdivisions that were selling in the millions. And if you do something that has it's just planned out properly, you do a nice houses all blended, etc. People drive into that subdivision to see that instead of seeing the great big monster homes that don't have any character to them. So something like this, if you plan something, you do it well, which this is what this is going to be. You create something that all the houses fit architecturally to that area. It's going to, it's just good. People are going to be talking about it because what you've created, it'll have some historical lines to the homes. That's what I want to create. And there's new construction will never hurt secondary construction when it's that it's done right. It never will. It will improve the values. You don't have to go in there and build big homes. You could build homes that are only 1,800 square feet and do a really nice job, and it would help. It would raise the prices of the neighborhood. I know a lot of people say, how is that possible? It's just that if it's done well and tasteful, it does. My wife and I have been in this business for a long, long time, and it does. This is what we do. And if you do it the right way, make it tasteful, it just helps that area. It's a shot in the arm to the existing homes in the area.
Yeah.
I bet if I could just follow up on that question. I mean, I imagine that whether you do this as flexible or a regular as a right subdivision bill, you're going to do it tastefully and you're going to do it the right way because you have pride in your workmanship. I think what I'm going to be interested in is a little bit more specifics, and certainly I think the neighbors are going to be interested in more specifics as opposed to just general statements that if you do things tastefully, it's going to get done in a way that is going to, positively impact the value of the neighbor's land. I think that you've got to give us more, or at least that's what I would be asking for.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I talking with Greg about this and Stephanie, what I'm trying to create is I want to do something in this subdivision. I want to do something that mimics what's going down Center Street when you get towards the center of town and what's in all the, so I'm going to call it the village area. I want to do that type of construction, which is again, the high roof pitches, the farmers porches, that That's it. Large windows on the home, also not smaller windows, larger windows, and that's what I'm shooting for. So that's you can say, I've said, some of the houses that I've built recently, that's the look that I'm trying to create. They don't have to be 3,000 square foot houses. That's what I don't want to do. I want to do, like, you go into one of my last subdivisions, the big ones I've done, some of the, like Lexington Estates. How do you think that would look here? I think it would be horrible, but I'd sell it out in a second, but I just don't want to do that. I want to create something for the town of Easton that we're all going to be, people are going to talk about it.
Right.
Not,
I think another thing is these homes are going to be tucked off of South Street. These are not, you know, you'd have to drive down the road to really be able to view these homes. You're not going to see them for the most part from South Street, except for the, you know, the lots right at the entrance in the curve. I think the other thing to look at, and this is real evidence, is that property values in Easton overall are not going down, they're going up. And there's in areas, I would imagine, if we looked at this, where flexible development has been proposed. Now we're just starting to see development beginning to proceed at Goodspeed Estates, but Weber Farms is probably, I think, at least 50% done at this point. And I would really doubt that any of the property values in that area have dropped since that construction. Greg, can I move on? There are some questions about drainage, and I'd like to just reassure people that the drainage and the stormwater management system, of course, needs to be designed and engineered. That will come as they continue to develop their plans, and when their final plans are submitted, just like any other project of this size, we will have our peer consultant review it to ensure that there isn't an increase in runoff or the rate of runoff and an adverse impact on the abutting properties.
I have a question.
Okay, so hold on, Cameron. There's a bunch of questions stacking up here. I've been wanting to get through them. PGS, what is the legal size for a development with no need of any zoning change? There's no, so a single, a conventional lot in the town of Easton has to be 40,000 square feet of contiguous uplands. And then Fran Masters, I am at 30. Okay, well, Stephanie just answered that one. Why does the chair, John O'Donnell asked, why does the chair continue to refer to lot 20 as a single family for now? I only said that once. And I said, you know, Mr. Humphreys originally had proposed a duplex there. We expressed that we'd prefer a single family, and it is currently, application is as a single family. So I only answered that way due to the way the question was answered. There's no conspiracy here. There's no secret. But if Mr. Humphreys wanted to go for a duplex, just like anybody can go for a duplex on their lot through the special permit process. So I just have to be, I was just answering like a chair, and you know, because it's not impossible on any lot in Easton. And then Mr. O'Donnell also asked, what happens in the event the homeowners association fails? Kevin's Way has historically struggled, as well as Lexington Estates, which is $1 million home neighborhood. My point is HOAs struggle. What is the safeguard? Does the town take over the responsibility?
Lexington Estates is a public road. It's not a private way.
I'm sorry, Bill?
Lexington Estates is a public road, not a private road.
Okay, that answers that. And Stephanie, I know Kevin's Way was a 40B, but do
I don't know of problems. I mean, I'm just not aware of problems with the homeowners association at Kevin's Way. What I can tell you is that there is a mechanism for any private road for the citizens to petition the town to accept the road. I can tell you that the DPW, if a road was intended to be a private way, would not it would be very unlikely that they would recommend that the town accept the road.
So at this point, unless there's any board members, because I think, we start to talk about drainage calcs, and we can't, it's a fool's errand to talk about that till we have an engineered set of plans in front of us. So I guess
I
would.
had some questions.
I'm sorry?
I said I had some questions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so I wanted to just, if I could finish that, I just want to say, so board members, if there's any more questions or comments you have, and then I'd like to see whether, we feel Mr. Humphreys is going in the right direction, and then we can schedule a site walk. So go ahead, Deb.
One of the questions I had was for lot 20, the home that has been discussed as working with the Historic Commission being restored. I would like more specifics on what that means, because are you following preservation or restoration, or is it will it be up to Bill to decide what level of repair he's doing? So I guess I'm interested in that, considering it's, being presented as part of a trade-off for the development. Okay,
so I would answer that this way. First of all, we have purview, if the Historical Commission on a local, you have purview on the exterior. So I'd say our purview is limited to the exterior. Okay, not lot layout, room layout, or interior finishes, the exterior. And to answer your question, we as the board, this is a special permit. This is a flexible development. So I would tell you, okay, well, you should, when we circle back at this, or maybe following a site walk where you can look at the house, you might say, I've told Bill, okay, on this, I think to make this historical rehab, the outside of it would be done in wood. It wouldn't be done in vinyl, for example. It would be done in wood. But I think whatever conditions or whatever requirements we'd like to see for that, we would make part of any decision or any process. So I think that question will be answered once we're all out there and we can see it and look at it more, if that makes sense.
Okay, and I think we
can I just add to it this. If I did go with a conventional subdivision, what I can also do too is if I went in there, and I don't want to do this, is it's not an historical district. So Greg, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, but don't go there.
I could go with,
no,
I
understand.
want to go there. I go through the 1 year period and then I would demolish.
No, we understand. Look at the beauty of the flexible development, that is in return for increased density and decreased road costs that the developer gets, what does the town get? And that varies on projects. In this case, we get a couple affordable units. We get a historical building preserved and saved, and we get open space added. Just as my point to Deb was that I think her question is better answered once she's been out there and she can look at the house and we can have discussions out there about it.
No, I agree with you, Greg. The wood siding and everything circa, everything that it's there, it just needs to be updated.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying, but on the inside, we don't really get to have a say in that. And I base that on what is the strictest historical preservation? It's a local historic district, which this isn't in one, but even if it were, the permit approval authority in Easton, which is the Historical Commission, doesn't have a say on the inside of the house. So I was just trying to keep us sort of parallel to that, because I thought that was fair and proper, for lack of a better.
And I'm not really that familiar with how treed or wooded it is, but I know there was a comment about how there's a potential to maybe have more trees saved than in a conventional subdivision. So I'm just wondering if somebody can speak to how treated it is and what percentage of clearing would likely need to happen, because I think there's been an awful lot of clearing on other properties with new construction. And so I'm just kind of interested to hear what the difference might be.
Well, I think a couple things, and then Bill will let you answer, but don't forget, Deb, that the entire perimeter of this property needs to have a 25-foot natural buffer, in keeping with the flexible development. So that's just there. And then what I spoke to and again, you guys haven't had the benefit of being out there, but when you're at the lot, there's some magnificent trees, some really large, mature, deciduous trees that aren't all, grown over each other, not a lot of understory. So they've been able to, some beautiful oaks and pines and maples, and I mean, not oaks and maples and hickories. So the thought was, like I said, what's the best way to figure out, because, Bill's not going to know every house design yet, and he's not going to, and as the road engineering designs, it gets tweaked through peer review and engineering. If we were out there, Stephanie and I and Bill agreed. I said, hey, can we locate these large trees that are in the vicinity of the roadway, so that, and that vicinity hasn't been determined yet. We'll do that when we go out there as a board. But then that way, when we start looking, think, oh, we can get these 5 or 6 to stay together. You actually look at, when you're out in the forest, it's because it's dense, but it's not so dense that you can't differentiate.
Yeah, Greg, I think we get that, Greg. I think we're just, Deb has some good points. We're just talking about sidewalks, trees, quality. We're talking about it now so that we don't get too far down the road where it just,
Right. Well, Peter, maybe you misunderstood. What I was trying to say is, I think the approach of doing this, instead of saying X percent, you can't really say X percent, because what's that? I think it's better to go look at what's out there in reality and what we can save. That's all I was trying to say. And I think that's the beauty of the flexible development. Instead of having to answer to a bunch of quotas or specific numbers, we get to go out and, use our eyes and our skills to craft what we want, given the parameters.
Nice that it's sewer also, Greg.
Yeah, that helps a lot, obviously.
Yeah, that should really help with the trees, right? I mean, so that there should be some potential to not have to raise.
Oh,
those.
absolutely, Peter. Peter, you're looking at a septic system is typically 40 by, you're talking about an area that's in a front yard that's 40 by 20, and the septic tank. So that's out the window. All you need is a trench you got to get a machine through a 10-foot area.
Right. So to Deb's point, that actually leaves a lot of leeway to really do a good job.
Absolutely. That's what I'm excited about here. The other thing that you got to look at too is what was brought up earlier is, Stephanie, is the way the land, there's no cuts and fills here. The topography is so naturally shaped that it's not like a typical one. You go in, you got a big hole here or a wetland there, and you got a hill, etc. Look at the topography on this. It's very soft. It goes in one area. So I think when we walk the land, you'll see that, and it's heavily treed. So when you go out there and do this, the road goes in, and being flexible, the road becomes smaller. So there's another savings on the trees, but the homes so you get the smaller homes, no septic system, smaller road. It's automatically going to be working in that saving of the trees.
Yeah, and think of it, the architectural approval we have on other flexible developments, part of it is also the site plan approval. And that's not just to be bureaucratic and to slow things up. That's not the point at all. It's okay, how are these houses located and how, creating the village feel. So again, going back, not to be redundant, but by locating the major trees along the roadway, then, okay, we know out back the buffer is preserved. We know what there's to work around the road. Then we can say, okay, hey, these are nice. So let's, scoot this house over here a little bit. We can really work to save as many of the trees as we can in a realistic way that still allows Mr. Humphreys to build houses and allows neighbors to have yards. So the, residents to have yards, but yet, keep it as natural as we can.
I would like to note something. It doesn't matter if this is conventional or flexible in both cases, and I think we are going to have it as we are going through the actual plans. Trying to find, because this was presented so positive by Greg and Stephanie and everyone, what are the detriments of something like this being put on this neighborhood? And one of the things I think we should take a closer look when we are deeper into that is traffic. Not that there is a big difference between flexible and conventional, but it's something that is being added to this neighborhood, and it's something that changes the nature of this neighborhood significantly, the amount of people that are going to be living here in this area. It's a note. I don't think I have a question on that. I have a different question, maybe for Greg and Stephanie. When you put a development like this, where houses that are a little smaller and cramped a little, what is the experience with other flexible developments about the owners later on making upgrades to these houses and changing significantly the original intention, and what tools we do have for permits and limitations to that possibility?
Stephanie, do you want to take that?
Well, that's an interesting question. There have only been 2 other conventional subdivisions, and one is barely started with construction of the homes, and the other is still in progress. The size of the lots would limit what you could do there. And again, the idea is to provide homes that are somewhat smaller. I mean, Bill, I'm guessing that these aren't tiny homes.
They're going to be probably between about 1,800 to 2,500.
Oh, that's a good size. Yeah.
It is. It's not a small.
No, Lexington Estates is 4,500 to 6,500.
Are you thinking about 2-car garages or?
Well, if it was conventional, they're 3 to 4 car garages. If they're flexible, then they would be 2-car garage.
So I'm just looking at the possibility of upgrades in the future and changing the nature of this neighborhood.
I think with the flexible, it's going to be difficult because you're going to have, even though it's flexible, you're still going to have to meet the local bylaws of setbacks.
Okay.
So with a smaller lot, you still have to meet the 15. You can't 15 feet offsets and 25 foot off. So 25 foot off the front, 15 off the sides. Just like if it was conventional, it'd be the same. But with a smaller lot, it's going to affect the lot because you're not going to be able to put additions on, etc. Because you're going to be the envelope that you start with. If you're doing an 1,800 to 2,500 square foot house on a lot that's only anywhere from 12,000 to 20,000 square feet, you're going to be limited. As you can see, these lots here are only 100 feet wide. So the only way you're adding this towards the backyard. Yeah. So you're not going to be able to go sideways. You build here will be probably pretty much final on the side because of the width of the lots.
Okay, so do board members, do we have any more board member questions here? Because I want to start to wind this down, keeping in mind this is just a pre-application meeting.
What is the? Oh, sorry. No, what is the square footage roughly of the existing house?
I'm sorry?
Square footage of the existing house. It's a pretty big house. I have no idea though.
The one on lot 20, how big is it?
Yeah, Belcher Estate.
Oh, it's probably
3,000 maybe?
2,500, 2,800.
Okay.
There's a lot of farmer's porch on it. It's beautiful construction. Yeah, a lot of farmer's porch.
It's a unique house, very unique house.
It is.
It's nice to save. I saw a question out there, I deleted by mistake, but there was a question about someone regarding the traffic. And I just want to say this, obviously South Street is and I've said this dozens of times to the residents during the many dozens of conversations I've had with them. Obviously it's a nice little enclave there, but people do have land development rights. And as difficult I know as it might be to see this piece of land developed, that, the land we all live on at one point was vacant and someone probably enjoyed it being empty, but So that being said, if we're looking traffic here, if it was, whether it was 15 homes or 20 homes, how many trips per day is that? Maybe 2 trips per day. But keep in mind, I look at it, there's 2 outlets, 50% could go left, 50% go right, maybe 80% go left, right? I don't know. And just today, Stephanie and I were in a meeting regarding the Sawmill Village and the streetlights and the crosswalks that are going in there. And that is going to, whether this land was developed or not, that, as I've said many times, and Stephanie has too, that set of lights it's going to have a huge positive impact on this part of the town. And I can say that as a Pequannock Ave resident. That is going to manage what is already a tough situation. There's a lot of traffic, obviously with Route 106. And, are trips going to be added to this neighborhood by this subdivision? Yes, but the roads are sized properly for this and are well above the capacity. And, there'll be, when we have a formal set of plans, there'll be opportunity to review, signage and communication regarding the traffic. And again, I think,
Greg, we need to check Mark on that issue. That's what's me know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We need to check Mark. Yes, we checked that and it's okay.
Okay. So board members, do we have anything else? Stephanie, we've gone an hour and a half on this. We do have quite a full agenda here. So I think we need to, Mr. Humphreys, do you have anything else you'd like to add or?
No, all set, Greg. I'm all set. Thank you.
So I think our next step would be to schedule a site walk or site visit. When would we like to do that, board members?
Do you want to try to get it done before the holidays, or I don't know if people are taking vacation?
I think after would probably be best.
Yeah.
Just because that's a week and a half out. I mean, but if you guys want to do it before, but.
Yeah, I mean, Monday the 28th is, not the 28th, sorry. The Monday the 21st is fine.
I can't do Monday the 21st.
Yeah, that and
next week's really hard for me.
What time of the day would we do it?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. So,
I mean, that's
night. I think because you wouldn't see anything.
Right. It would need to be. It needs
to be during daylight.
If the board wanted to do, I don't know. Do you folks want to do a Saturday morning after New Year's?
I'd be okay with that.
Like the 2nd? Or you mean just any Saturday?
I
think we should get a little bit away from the holidays.
That doesn't exclude the 2nd. That's up to you folks.
Yeah, I think a weekend would definitely be better for me.
Yeah,
sure. Preferred it.
I won't be here, but that's just, that's okay.
I probably prefer to do it during a weekday, but I could be flexible with the time, so it's daylight.
Saturday will not be possible for me, it's Sabbath. But anyway.
How about this? Do you want to schedule, and this is up to Bill because I'm sure he wants to be there. We could schedule a Saturday morning and we could schedule a day. And Greg, I know your schedule's been really busy. I could cover the weekday. I would plan on being there for the Saturday, but, or we could trade off. I don't know, or it doesn't matter.
I don't know. Why don't we do this? Instead of trying to do this right now.
Yeah.
Stephanie, why don't you send out an email tomorrow and why don't we figure it out that way? Because it sounds like this one's a little complicated. And you know what, we've already gone way over. So I think, and Bill, I don't know if you might be traveling out of town for the holidays. So why don't we do this via email the next couple of days?
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So So we just vote to continue this, right? Because then we will pick up whenever we get a full application. Is that how we
Well,
want
it's not really a hearing. I mean, you've kind of,
just a discussion?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess so for the folks, the abutters and other interested parties that are on board,
I guess, I'm sorry, Greg, I am going to jump in. I'm sorry. I guess the question is, is the purpose of the on-site for the board to get a sense of the site and then come back and give kind of the nod? Or is it to get the board to give the nod tonight and then to have a site visit in preparation for the application? Just because that will dictate whether you need another meeting or not before Bill submits his application, his formal application.
Well, I'd throw that out to the board members because I've had the advantage of being on this site. And, you know, we don't, I mean, this is just a pre-application meeting. We're not taking a vote tonight. That's not in our bylaw. You know, if Bill has the right, if he wants to apply for a flexible development, he has that right. The process as we've done on the others was to listen.
Just up to Bill, I suppose, if he wants to hear any more of our input, or if he feels comfortable, you know, kind of going forward with what we provide. I mean, we might have more input after we walk the site, if that's the
right. Well, that's why we're trying to schedule this in the next month. So Bill's engineering is not going to be done in 2 weeks, so I haven't started it.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't think we need to differentiate. I mean, so the thought is we should get out there as soon as we can, so that we are familiar with what's being discussed.
Sure.
Stephanie, what do you mean by a nod? Say our opinion, the opinion of each one of the people?
If the board is going to have additional discussion after, and again, this isn't a hearing, it's a discussion, then you may want to continue to a date certain. But it's a pre-application. I'm just procedurally wanting to make sure that we dot our T's and cross our I's.
I think we should make sure we get out there by the middle of January. At that point, any board members that feel they would like to say anything that hasn't been said can either send thoughts to Stephanie, or we can ask Mr. Humphreys to come back for a meeting. You know, I mean, and then, you know, Bill, like any landowner, he's working at his own peril. I'm assuming, because whether he's going to do conventional or flexible, he's going to be going out and doing deep hole tests and other things associated with engineering. So, you know, I don't see this as sort of things aren't on a hold, don't have to be on a hold on Mr. Humphrey's part until we get out there and visit the site. And like you say, this isn't a hearing, so there's really nothing to vote on.
Right, right. I think what you just said about if the board members have any comments, they could get back to us, and again, we could decide.
Yeah, and I think once they're out there, then we might say, oh yeah, we need to have another meeting because, you know,
yeah. Right.
So, but I would like to come up with a date as soon as we can, hopefully the next day or two. So, because I would ask Bill to have his engineer go out and, as we always do, stake the center line of the road, you know, roughly every, you know, couple hundred feet of it. So that way when we're out there, we can relate to it.
You want that done for when you guys walk it, Greg?
Yeah, yeah. You know, just, you know, 3 or 4 stakes, you know. Obviously we know where it comes in. One where it would bang a left and then just a couple going up, you know. Well,
I would just need it because the driveway is existing where it is. You can see where it is. It's when you get past 20 South Street, I can stake it from there back because you can. Yeah, just, yeah, exactly. Going back, you know, maybe 3 on there or something, you know. Yeah. So I can take it right where the hand is right now, and I can go like I can have Frank go like every 100 feet so you can see where the heck you are.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
So just to recap, so I think what we should do is, so we'll get out there as soon as we can. We'll determine that online the next couple of days. And then we can decide our course of action from there. Right? That seems to me make the most sense.
I could
What
meet.
do you guys think?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's good.
And if we have to do this in a couple of meetings, that's fine. That's not a problem. I mean, a couple of visits to the site, whatever works the best for everybody. Because I think it's important we get out there. What I don't want to do is schedule a walkthrough, and what happened a bunch of times last year, it was just Stephanie and I. That's not going to serve any purpose. So, you know, hopefully we can. If we have to do this in 2 different settings, that's fine. My schedule's wide open. I can be out there whenever. So, all right. So, Mr. Humphreys, we thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Just let
And
me know if you
all
need
of
me.
the neighbors, we appreciate you participating, and you ask great questions. And you know, when this moves forward with a set of, you'll all be notified, so you'll know, you know, any public hearings, any abutters will be notified of it, and of course, it'll all be on the town's website also. So we thank you, and let's move on.
Could I just ask Stephanie, you'll contact me, so I will have plenty of time to let Frank know when to stake the center
Oh,
line?
yes. Oh,
Yeah, the
yes.
next day or 2, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, guys. All right,
Yeah.
thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay,
Great.
I'm gonna
Thanks.
stop sharing. Let's see, Bill. Let me do-
Okay, so next up we have an A&R plan, 38 Randall Street.
All right, I need to remove Bill
Excuse me.
and that Eric Diaz. I'm sorry, this is such a long list. Eric? Did Eric show up?
Eric Diaz, I don't see him now. He was, or maybe he's on as a panelist.
I'm here, Stephanie.
Yeah, there he
Okay,
is.
okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me just call up the plan here. So if you just want to identify yourself for the record, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering Solutions. Here tonight representing Garcon Corp. For an A&R plan it's on Randall Street. It is a through lot that connects Randall to Summer Street. We are simply proposing to take the through lot and cut it into 2. It was originally on an A&R plan shown as lot 5. So we're creating lot 5A on Randall, which is what's shown in your view there. And then if you scroll that up, you'll see lot 6, which will front on Summer Street. Both lots have the required upland area, frontage, viable access, and the wetland lines that are shown on this plan are the result of an approved ANRAD plan.
And as Mr. Diaz said, they are complying lots, and the board should vote to, or should endorse the plan. It's not a vote. It's
They have frontage and they have contiguous upland.
yes, yeah. As you can see, there's frontage on Randall Street for 5A, and there's frontage on Summer Street for lot 6. Yeah.
And the wetlands has been confirmed with Concom, right?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, the answer is yes.
No, I just heard all this screaming all of a
I
sudden.
know, I'm sorry.
All right, board members, questions, comments, motions?
Motion to endorse the A&R plan for Randall Street and Summer Street.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, and let me check. I don't see any hands raised. All those in favor? Strange, aye.
Day and night.
Anderson, I.
Good
Stetson,
night.
aye.
Oh, Sarah, aye.
And that's 5-0. Right. Thank you,
Excellent.
Mr. Diaz.
Thank you very much. Stephanie, can I coordinate with your office tomorrow to get the Mylar over for signature?
Yes, contact Suzanne.
Yes.
And yeah. Okay,
Not a problem. I will take care of that in the morning. Thank you, guys.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next. So
Greg, I didn't get rid of Greg, did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh my God. These things move too fast. He's gonna have to sign in again. Oh my word. That's what happened to Rob earlier. I had my cursor and the names moved before I could.
Oh, yeah, like when someone else left there and came in. Yeah.
He will notice that he was kicked out.
Just getting a drink.
Strange. Okay, I'm going to call him as well. You can't get back on? Oh, God freaking Lord. I don't know how to unlock you.
You invite him again?
Yeah, I'm going to try to invite you. Here, let me invite you again. Sorry, but hold on, I'm putting the phone down.
Is that where it works? You kick some out, you need to re-invite it? Possible.
I had this happen once before to me, and if you log on a different device, I found that it worked.
Does what?
If you logged on a different device, like if you logged on via his phone versus if he was on his computer, it might work.
To send you a new invitation. And ignore that it says Greg Enos, because that's not you. It's how it's. All right, I'm sending this right now.
You might need to restart his browser.
You know, it's interesting because when we first started doing these as webinars with the panelists, I could change you back, but now it doesn't let me change you back to an attendee once you're a panelist. All right, he's going to try. If not, Peter, I think you're going to need to step up. If we can't get Greg back.
We just took off now. Yeah, well, sure. I'm happy to on this. Yeah, so we have lot 1, Goodspeed Estates. We're reviewing the architectural plans.
Can you share your screen again, Stephanie?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And
it says I am sharing. Can you see these are the plans? Can you
I can see it.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. And let me see. I don't think we have the applicant. I don't see him in our attendees list.
Now, I'm looking at a different Goodspeed Estates lot 1 that has a lot more detail than that. And looks
well, those were the ones that were, so a little bit of backstory on this. Those are the ones that Paul Prue submitted in the event that they weren't able to sell the lot. He has a potential buyer interested in purchasing lot 1. And I thought the board may have looked at an original, but it might have just been me and Greg for this fellow.
Okay, so this is just a single family or
No, it's a duplex because lot 1 is the duplex. So this is a potential buyer, and this is what he is proposing versus what we had seen previously. One of the problems I had with this, and we'd communicated to, and I think at this point, he hasn't provided any dimensions. So I think at this point, even if the board wanted to not even consider it until we saw the dimensions, but you might want to kind of weigh in on the design.
Is the other buyer here?
I don't see him on the
the buyer, just please raise your hand if you are here.
No, he's not. I know who he is, and I know everyone else who is on.
Okay. What dimensions you are missing?
Unless this is the oh, that's Greg. we go.
Well, I was a little bit spoiled by looking at the other plan, so I pretend I didn't see
Well,
that.
I think the board, again, remember, the idea is for the building to be contextual.
You
And
just have to unmute.
Greg, can you hear us? Because we can't hear you. I think you need to, here we go. You need to unmute. I muted. Can you unmute?
Yeah, Stephanie, that's a good reminder that you should always make someone else give someone else control too, in case you run into trouble. But right now, it's not your problem yet.
Good God. Let's see more. It says disable.
I don't see him. Maybe.
Well, I can see Greg. He's the phone number.
Oh, that's it.
It's basically, it's saying, Greg, I think you may be able to hear me. It's still saying ask to unmute, and I did click on allow you to talk earlier. I'm going to try disabling you. Now I'm going to try allowing you to talk again. I can hear, but it says I would be muted. I don't know what to tell you. Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Peter, should we continue commenting or not necessarily?
Yeah, you just
or let me, Greg, if you can hear me, can you call me and I can put you on speakerphone?
Yep. Okay, let's try that. Since he's making an effort to reconnect us.
Anyway, here's what he says. I vote against the house shown in the lot.
Okay, that's good. Any other comments?
Can you just ask him if he thinks we should even vote on this thing?
Here we go. Hi. Something I said? No, good. I'm going to be having someone do some research on Zoom and find out why I inadvertently clicked on you trying to remove Eric. And then
that's okay. So do you want to put me on speaker?
You are on speaker. Can people hear Greg?
Yeah, okay, good. Because after good speed, I have to recuse myself in the next one.
Right.
So obviously I don't know what you guys said. My only concern, first of all, is just the process on lot one. We approved the house for lot one, and so now someone else wants to come in and put a house. Now I have issues with the house presented for all sorts of reasons, but even if what's the process? I mean, I'm kind of worried if we say, I don't want to stack up approvals on one lot. It doesn't seem to be serving the process of the special permit. You know what I'm saying?
I do. The board.
Yeah, and I mean, is lot one of the normal size smaller lots?
No, that's not it.
Looking for. Yeah, well, are there any other board member comments on this? Does everyone think we should vote on this?
I can't hear anything, so I don't know if you guys can even hear me. But the best, I mean, when I looked online, the only thing I saw was one sheet that showed 4 elevations of the house. There was no site plan, no siding. So I'm like, how does this giant footprint, does it even fit on the lot? Does it meet the height bylaw? I don't know, because we don't have a site plan.
Right.
And then is this really the type of the scale of house we talked about? And if one of these is going to be the affordable unit, I mean, and Stefan, you'd know this better than I, but wouldn't DHCD have an issue because there's no garage and it needs to be similar to other houses in the subdivision?
It has no garage. It's clearly discernible as different. It would be clearly different than the other homes, and even the characteristics, I think the quality, I personally, I think this has a very institutional look to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the design. It doesn't match the other, what we've been, expect for the neighborhood, and it's not enough information to even make a decision in the first place. So,
I agree.
Yes, I echo everything you just said.
Same.
So are we looking for a formal vote on this?
We probably should, right?
I would like a formal vote on
yes,
this.
yeah, we still
I
have to-
would like to see the board take a vote.
Yeah, so who wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to reject the application for lot 1 as presented tonight.
I would only ask that you change the word to deny.
Okay, sorry, denied.
Second.
Is that a second?
Yep.
Sorry, my audio is terrible, sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of denying the application for lot 1, Strange, aye.
Jay and I.
Anderson, I.
That's an aye.
Balcarek, aye.
That's it.
Did Amos kick in? Okay, I didn't hear. Okay.
Well, Amos is the as alternate member and shouldn't be voting unless he's needed. Yes.
I was afraid you booted him out too.
I hope I didn't.
No.
Sorry.
You get an eye?
Right, so I'm gonna have to recuse myself from Weber. So I just want to I'll let you guys do the meeting minutes if you want. I can't see anything here. And I just wanted to real quick, because we haven't been together since town meeting, so I didn't know if you knew. Everything passed with the exception of the last article. I think it was Article 19, which was the dimensional and density requirements for the Furnace Village district. And the reason being is we had a tough time getting a quorum to begin with, and we started probably a half hour late, got 100 people. And then when we were on the very last article, a resident got up and asked to have a quorum check, and I think we had 92. You need 100 for a quorum, and we were down to 92 or 93. So by law, we had to end town meeting, had a discussion with Connor, town administrator, and with Jay Tellerman, and they gave us the opportunity. He said, "Hey, we'll try to get everybody back here the next night if you want," but knowing the weather and the way COVID's been, I wasn't confident it was going to happen, and we all agreed we'd have to wait till the spring. So Furnace Village passed, but it's on hold because there's no density and dimensional requirements just because of what went down. So anyways, thank you all for your work on that, and hopefully we'll see it come to a fruitful conclusion in May. So with that, I'll jump out and have to recuse myself on Weber, and then tomorrow, Stephanie, tomorrow you'll try to work on getting a date.
Yes.
However we want to do it, and that's fine. Stephanie's idea. I don't mind going out there twice. I can certainly cover on Saturdays right up the street.
Yep.
So however you guys want to do it, but I think we should try to do it by the middle of January. So whatever works there. So, and hope you all have a nice holiday, and I guess we'll see you on the 20th. Are we still looking to have a meeting on the 28th, Stephanie? Think we'll have an agenda?
Yes, we have a couple of items. I think it'll probably be quick.
All right. So sorry, guys. COVID took your pens away. maybe.
Merry Christmas, Greg.
All right, I'm gonna head out. So Peter, I'm leaving you in charge.
Right. Have a good night, Greg. Thank you.
Right,
we have architectural review.
Oh, you're so welcome, Greg.
33 Matthew Circle.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Is there anyone in attendance that is here for this architectural review?
I think Sam, hold on.
Please don't click the wrong button. No, I'm just gonna. Please turn on Sam's. Whatever.
Okay. Well,
Right, Stephanie, are these the plans for the?
these are the plans, yes. And in fact, Sam, do you want to explain, because these have been, these particular designs have been reviewed by the board before, but for a different lot, and they are now being proposed for lot 5. Oh, it says was approved for lot 5 back in March. Sam, can you?
Yep. These plans, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Sam from Doug King Builders. I'm here in front of you for, this is a house design for lot 7. This was, as Stephanie stated, this was previously approved by the board back in March of this year for lot 5. This house has been built on lot 5 and is up right now. It's actually just going for its occupancy this week. We had a buyer for lot 8 when the last time I was in front of the board. That buyer has fallen through. We now have a buyer for lot 7 that came in right behind the other people. They've now signed a P&S with us for lot 7, and they like this house design that was on lot 5. So we've changed nothing to it. They liked as it was shown. I also included the site plan, the lotting plan, so you can see how it's situated on the lot. And just look forward to any of your questions.
Okay, board members, do you have any questions or suggestions?
Do we have any other designs that are the same in the Matthew Circle now?
No, this is the first one that it has a repeat.
Stephanie, is it possible to show the site plan for the overall development so we can see the relationship of lot 5 to lot 7?
Well, it's, yeah, the short answer is yes, it's possible. It's not necessarily.
It'd be right above it, right? It goes.
I mean,
is it just
the question? I mean, is the question whether this is right next to the other one? I think Sam could answer that.
Yeah, Sam, is it just one? Is it just there's one house in between, or?
Correct. There's only one house between lot 5 and lot 7.
Does your subdivision have any like, you don't have any restrictions on paint colors and so forth, so it's not people are still free to paint it exactly the same color if they wanted to, correct?
If they wanted to, yeah. Usually they select. We let them select their own colors from the because we use Hardy board up there.
Mm-hmm.
And they naturally pick something to make it different.
Mm-hmm.
And we also let them pick the metal roof color also to give it something distinction between everything else.
But Sam, I mean, I've been out there a couple of times, and the palette is pretty much all in the same shade, if I'm not mistaken. There,
I mean, we can't really talk about the color, anyways.
Right.
So, yeah. After we want to do it at the end of the meeting, we can. While we're reviewing this architectural plan, let's stick with it. So I think this one's good. And has your architect they're familiar with the height bylaw?
They are.
Yeah.
They've demonstrated, they call it out on the all the information. We don't have to do any, with this particular designer, we don't have to do any extra legwork in determining. All the dimensions are provided and the grade.
More comments or motions?
So Sam, is there any chance of maybe even just doing something subtly different, like maybe doing a gable over the front door also, or maybe changing the shed to a gable on over the garage? I'm not necessarily an objection to two designs being the same. I wish they weren't just one house apart. I wish there was something a little bit that was different. So I'm just thinking that might be something easy to change without actually having to get them to change, you know, the plan that they like. So is that something that might be a possibility?
I can ask the buyer if they would like that or not, but like you said, because they kind of went with this, they seen it out in the field. Only thing I would note about being that is one lot over is that when you approach lot 5, when you pull into the subdivision, you come straight ahead and you see lot 5, then you turn the corner, you come to the left, and you go by 6 to 7. So it's not like they're in the same, and you have that buffer in the middle there of the landscape area with trees, the walls and stuff. So it's not like you have a great straight view at both houses at the same time either.
Thank you for adding that, Sam, because I was going to say, again, I've been out there, and even the way the homes are situated, it provides variety.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think Deb's point is maybe, you know, even if the garage doors looked a little different and a couple of windows, I don't know about the windows, but you know, a couple of things look just a little bit different, or even.
And we can work with them to change work with them on the color palette too. In the garage door, that's a good one. I can ask them about that, the eyebrow over the garage, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I have to go by the buyer on that one.
I think, like you say, if you're not within the same like row, or whatever, we're not.
Yeah, if your approach is different, I think it will.
If the approach is different, I think that I'm more okay with it then.
I would say that if we were agreeable to approving this, I wouldn't want a third or fourth. That is exactly the same plan. I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, without using some of the design aspects that you mentioned earlier. We definitely do that to change it up.
Or I don't, or actually, I guess, Peter, do you have to see if there's any other questions?
Oh, yeah. Let's see if there's any public comment or board members. Do you have any other suggestions? No?
Yeah, and this isn't a hearing, so it doesn't need.
No. Yeah, we just thought I'd ask, but if you don't see anyone raising their hand, then Deb could proceed with the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, and I just would like to maybe have it in the record that we would suggest that they change one or two design elements if possible. Some were suggested, like garage door or gable or roof line over the garage, or the front entrance would be like simple changes if that was possible. I think that would be best, but I think I would be agreeable to being in favor of this as is being the second home of the same type in this neighborhood.
So could that be, the motion be that you make a motion to approve it, but so long as that no more identical plans are
that would be a great adder to that, since that was mentioned in the comments. So yeah, Suzanne, are you able to add that in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Attendees? Nope. Hearing none. All in favor? We'll do a roll call for the vote. All in favor? Deshane, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Balcarek, aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So Stephanie, there was a subdivision bylaws review on the agenda. Is that what was?
So that was just if Greg was going to, needed or wanted to give any updates, and he had none, so.
All right, well, we had talked about working on that, but we haven't actually, we haven't got to really work on it yet, so we'll skip that.
Yeah, and I think what Greg said at the last meeting was he was kind of working on he had some ideas and stuff, and then would be sharing and reaching out.
Yeah, right, yeah, you talked about some little stuff.
Yeah.
All right, meeting minutes.
Can you show those on the screen again, Stephanie, if that's possible? I'm sorry to ask you.
Is there a particular section, Deb, you'd like?
No, I was just trying to remember which set of minutes this was. I think is this the one I wasn't present at, I believe.
This was the last meeting.
Yeah, it wasn't at this one. Okay.
And Robert wasn't here, according to this.
I did watch it. I did do a Mullen form.
As did I.
Right. Yep.
That's true. I did too.
Yeah.
So
well, you and I could.
Almost.
Well, Robert did watch it, and I'm sure he watched it very carefully. So if he wanted to, vote, not abstain, he could. But I think Amos and I should be able to.
And again, the minutes do not require acceptance of the minutes. Do not require that you were at the meeting, as long as.
You don't really have to abstain sometimes. Yeah. I was at my condo meeting, and I accepted the minutes from the prior meeting, even though I wasn't there, and they tried to correct me, and I felt a little, kind of put off because I knew I couldn't. But is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Motion to approve the minutes, even though I wasn't there.
Second.
There is a second.
Same.
Any further discussion? All in favor? DeShane, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson.
Balcarek, aye.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. And that concludes our meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board tonight. So thank everyone for being here, and let's look forward to the new year, but we'll meet one more time anyway. So if there could be one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? DeShane, aye.
Stetson, aye.
Anderson, aye.
Balcarek, aye.
Have a good holiday.
Have a great 2 weeks.
Happy holidays.
Holiday.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Stephanie. Bye, Suzanne.
Good night.
Okay, good night.